there everyone, LowWolf360 here back again for another video. And today's video is going to be a bit different because I'm not necessarily talking about drama, but I do feel like it's a relevant enough topic for me to just talk about it on the channel. So let's get into the video. So, streaming services, they've kind of always been around, but I feel like until the early 2020s that they've kind of taken a huge impact, you know. With people being forced to stay home, it only makes sense that streaming services would only have more of an increase when it comes to people using them and whatnot. But if there's one thing which I think we can all agree on in recent times, it has to be the fact that these streaming services have kind of taken a huge dip in quality, so much to the point to where they've just kind of become a bit redundant. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about streaming services and why I just personally think that they just kind of suck nowadays. So when it comes to how many streaming services which are out there, I'm not gonna lie. While I don't feel like there's anything wrong with variety per se, at the same time I just gotta say, man, there's just way too many of these fucking things. Like, when there's literally ads out there or apps out there which need to tell you about which streaming services to go on to get what you want specifically, because all the other ones rather share one season or just nothing at all, I kind of feel like that says a lot, you know? Because once again, while I feel like there's nothing wrong with variety, 9 out of 10 times when it comes to the overall quality of these sites, a lot of the content which they have on there is rather extremely mid or average, or stuff which is like a specific thing in order to grab someone's attention. Like, for example, look at Paramount Plus and how they were promoting not only having this Halo show on there, but also by having the Sonic movies on there as well. And I think you catch my drift here. What I'm basically trying to say is that a lot of the time these services basically have the bare minimum of content and have to hold on to one core thing in order to keep an audience's attention. But of course, we're going to be diving into the quality of these streaming services, not only by their UI, but also by their content which they have on there. So how about we get into that? So, when it comes to these streaming services and the overall quality of the shows and movies which they have on there, I don't think that there's a denying that there's always going to be a good portion of stuff which is rather good, or well, just complete dog shit. But whenever it comes to stuff like, I don't know, Disney Plus, I do feel like there's an overwhelming amount of stuff which is just so incredibly average or bad to the point to where it's just forgettable. Like, for example, look at the MCU. Like, while I'll think that most people can agree that the MCU has never really been perfect per se, I think many people could notice this significant dip in quality not only when it comes to the special effects of these shows, but also when it comes to the overall writing. The ideas don't really pull through and come off as very half-baked, and by the end of the day, a lot of the shows aren't really all that much remembered. Like, look at Moon Knight, for example. When this show was having all of its trailers and all of its episodes with the first season, everyone was hyped about it, but fast forward to a few months later and no one really gives a shit about it, like, at all. Like, if someone's talking about it, it's most likely because it rather didn't accurately portray the character, or because it just came off as very underwhelming. And the same thing can count for a lot of other shows. There's this video from this guy called The Worst Critic, which I watch a lot, and he made a pretty good video about why the MCU just doesn't really hit the same anymore. And I'll probably link the video in the description, but of course, let me move on to my last part. So the last thing that I'm going to mention is this one little thing which I like to call shitty business decisions. So, I feel like they're pretty self-explanatory, you know? Like, for example, when Netflix cuts the budget for a production or decides to go do this thing to where they have one season of something, but decide to go cut it in half and claim that the next season is there when, well, season 2 was literally just season 1 but cut in half. Or, I don't know, Disney Plus implementing this thing to where they literally have you pay more money to not have ads on their service. Or best yet, the whole thing going on with HBO Max and the merge to where they're literally killing projects left and right in hopes of trying to make things better for their new web service or for their new service called Discovery Plus. because that's totally a great idea. The problem with these shitty business decisions has to be the fact that not only does it affect the people that, well, work on these projects, but aside from that, for people that are literally just using these services, it just becomes more and more of a hassle when you think about it. At the end of the day, I don't really think that streaming services as a whole are just going to die off, because they are still going to have people that are, well, using them, but at the end of the day, you know what, I could see them definitely taking a big decrease when it comes to subscriptions. But that's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm LoneWolf360. Later, folks.